ABC.
WBUP Ishpeming.
Tonight on your Upper Great Lakes News Network, the Marquette area is ringing in the sky with fireworks after lots of preparation and some outside financial help. And a Marquette County man is on his way to prison after receiving his sentence today for child sexual assault. The UGN Late News starts right now.
Coming to you live from our studios in Marquette, it's UGN, the Upper Great Lakes News Network.
Well, it may be a day later than some of us would like, but the sky above Marquette is sparkling with 4th of July fireworks. Good evening and welcome to the UGN Late News. I'm Mike Hoy. Well, before Marquette could light up the night this evening, a lot of preparation work had to be done, and UGN's Laura Salahi took a look this afternoon at how the city was getting ready.
Pyrotechnicians are drilling and strapping together close to 1,500 rockets that are set to shoot off Orr Bridge in Marquette tonight. After residents complained that last year's fireworks show was too small, donations have doubled to make sure this year's fireworks will be a blast. Marquette's annual fireworks show relies on money donated by the people of Marquette, not the city tax. This year, residents have donated $25,000 for the fireworks show, more than double the amount raised last year.
Tonight, I expect we're going to see a fireworks display that for sure the largest that Marquette's ever seen.
Bruce Tyree, Vice President of Great Lakes Fireworks in Lower Michigan, promises to deliver to everyone at Lower Harbor Park tonight.
As with any fireworks, you're going to see lots of colors, of course lots of noise. I can't give away all the secrets or it wouldn't be a surprise.
Pyrotechnicians have spent about 2 days for a show that's only expected to be about 25 minutes long. At the Orr Dock, Lara Salahi, UGN News.
Thanks, Laura, and I can hear those fireworks booming overhead outside right now. If you're able to see them, I definitely hope that you're enjoying them. Well, an Ishpeming man who recently admitted to sexually assaulting his stepdaughter is heading to prison for at least the next 2.5 years. 50-year-old Michael Tarvinen will be behind bars for at least 32 months and possibly the maximum sentence of 15 years. He received that sentence this afternoon. Tarvinen was arrested back in January, and he was originally charged with 2 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct with a child under 13 and a second-degree count. He pleaded guilty in late May to the second-degree charge, telling circuit court at that time that he had inappropriately touched his stepdaughter over a 1-year period. In exchange for that guilty plea, the first-degree CSC charges against him were both dropped. And the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality has a new report out on Kennecott Minerals' proposed nickel and copper mine on Marquette County's Yellow Dog Plains. It's an independent third-party report about the stability of the proposed mine's roof. Earlier this year, the DEQ gave preliminary approval for the Eagle Mine project, but it later withdrew that approval because documents criticizing the roof's stability had not been included in public record. Those documents dealt with how the Salmon Trout River watershed directly above would be affected if the roof somehow became compromised. Kennecott officials say they're pleased with the new report, but mine opponents say it leaves too many questions and has very little new information. If you want to look at the report, though, you can find it on the DEQ's website, which is www.michigan.gov/documents/DEQ, that web address on your screen. Once it's had a chance to review this new report, the DEQ is going to give updates in the next few weeks on where the Eagle Mine permit stands. The city of Ishpeming is looking for a new person to lead its Main Street program. Former Director Jennifer Thum recently took a new job in Chocolate Township, so the city's Downtown Development Authority is looking for a new Main Street manager that it plans to hire sometime next month. Ishpeming's DDA is going to take applications through next Wednesday, and it's the Main Street Director's responsibility to work with business owners and the state of Michigan to help bring people and money into the city's downtown. And the city says if you're interested, you can contact the Downtown Development Authority at City Hall by calling that number on your screen, 485-1091. And one of the service offices at a local hospital is opening itself up to public view as a companion to a local historical exhibit. Marquette General Hospital's Health Information Center is having an open house next Tuesday. That's in conjunction with the Changing the Face of Medicine exhibit at the Peter White Library, which you can see here. That Health Information Center is a place where anyone can find information on medical procedures, diseases, and wellness issues, among other things. The traveling exhibition, which is at the library right now, will be there until early August, and it spotlights the contributions American women have made and are still making to the field of health care. And also still coming up tonight, a different area hospital is about to start celebrating the new facility that it's soon going to build. Plus, a group of local women that keeps their Thursdays colorful gets to show off their work to the Marquette area. But before that, a look at some of tonight's winning state lottery numbers. Stay with us because the UGN Late News will be right back.
The Michigan Lottery's Mega Millions.
Welcome back to the UGN Late News. A group of local women painters is hoping to attract area attention with a month-long exhibit of their artistic creations. The group is called the Thursday Painters, and it's been around continuously in the Marquette area since 1953. The women are always looking for people interested in painting to come and join them.
And what they do is they work together. Sometimes they have special projects for exhibits. They critique each other's work, and one of the items featured in this exhibit is a quilt that was done by one of the members, I believe Rosemary Glenn, and they all painted their version of the quilt.
And the Thursday Painters will get to show off all of their work, including that quilt and various renditions of it, at the Marquette Arts and Culture Center all month long.
And it features landscapes, as well as the title, Outside Looking In, shows perspective painting of looking into a storefront, looking into a home, and looking through the windows.
That exhibit is in the lower level of the Peter White Library, and there was also a free reception at the library for the Thursday Painters tonight. Well, Bell Hospital is going to break ground on its new home in the next couple of weeks, and the hospital is going to start celebrating that upcoming construction this weekend. They're having a special presentation at 5 p.m. Sunday at Peterson Auditorium in Ishpeming, and the $5 tickets for that presentation can be bought at the hospital, at Jubilee Foods, Range Bank branches, and also right at the door. Bell is going to be moving from South 4th Street to just north of US 41 in Ishpeming, right behind the Jubilee Food Store, and they're due to break ground there later this month, and the new hospital is scheduled to open its doors in the fall of 2008. Bell Hospital's current home dates back to 1975, and there have been plans to get that new facility built for a number of years. Well, looking to international news for a moment, there is more news today of cyber terrorism coming out of Britain. As you've likely heard, last week a group of medical professionals tried to set off a series of car bombs in the UK, but today word came out of another plot being circulated, this time on the internet, to have Muslim doctors wage jihad in the US. And those details emerged as the men who ran that website were sent to prison. ABC's Jim Sciutto has more.
Today, these three men became the first in Britain to be sentenced for using the internet to incite terrorism. Their website, called Terrorist 007 in Arabic, was a sort of MySpace for terrorists, with chat rooms and videos dedicated to anti-Western hate and violence. This is one of the videos posted, a chilling appeal to young Muslims to join holy war against the West.
This weapon is going to be used against Europe.
Of the many plots discussed on the site was one posted in February 2005, suggesting using doctors to attack the U.S., echoing the doctors' plot this week in Britain. We are 45 doctors, it read, and we're determined to take the battle inside America. Some of the possible targets raised: the USS John F. Kennedy, based in Florida, an unspecified Army base in Virginia, and the Guantanamo Bay Detention Center. U.S. and British officials say there is no evidence this was ever an organized plot, or that the plotters were ever inside America. Still, the case highlights how terrorists exploit the internet as a weapon.
Internet terrorism is actually the powerhouse of terrorist recruitment. It's the growth place for terrorism, and particularly for the 15 to 25-year-olds.
So that is pretty easy to get onto.
Yeah, very easy.
Glenn Genvy has spent several years infiltrating extremist Islamic websites. Today, we visited some of them ourselves and easily found threatening rhetoric and terrorist know-how, such as how to build a car bomb.
It's real. They're not messing around just with words. They're not playing. If they could hurt British or American people, they would.
And that was ABC's Jim Sciutto. He also reports that the Muslim community in Britain has taken out newspaper ads condemning last week's attempted bombings, and the group paying for the ads is made up largely of doctors, saying as well that criminal plots should not be linked to the teachings of Islam. And still to come tonight on your Upper Great Lakes News Network, Bays Danock and Escanaba Harbor are gearing up for a large and lucrative fishing tournament. But first, your full forecast with Monica Ott. Weather is next on the UGN Late News.
Yeah, you could say I'm a quitter.
I finally quit smoking. It was the smartest thing I've ever done. There was always a reason to put it off.
And then a friend told me about 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
1-800-QUIT-NOW.
They gave me a quit coach to help make a real plan.
They were there for me as long as it took.
And it was free.
Free.
I'm a quitter.
I'm a quitter.
You know what? You can be too.
Mild but a little stormier early this afternoon. Good evening, I'm meteorologist Monica Ott. Temperature-wise, not too bad, very hot for Iron Mountain, 80 degrees at the moment, 75 over in Ironwood, so not too bad. 73 here in Marquette, degree cooler for Escanaba with their 72-degree temperature at the moment. Warm for Manistee, 79 at the moment, but 20 degrees cooler up in the Keweenaw Peninsula in Copper Harbor. It's also very windy all across the UP. We're looking at a sustained winds between about 10 and 15 miles per hour all the way from Iron Mountain up through Copper Harbor. Not too bad as you head into the middle of the UP. We're looking at less than 10 mile per hour sustained winds. And as for the Sioux, pretty windy for them as well, 10 mile per hour sustained winds. They're looking at gusts, not too bad, about 11 miles per hour. And as for the rest of the UP, not terrible in terms of those gusting wind speeds. We had some very high gusting winds earlier today associated with those frontal systems that marched on through. 15 mile per hour gusts at the moment here in Marquette, 16 mile per hour gusts in Iron Mountain, and pretty windy up in Copper Harbor with their 18 mile per hour gusts. It's also very humid, so feeling pretty sticky out there. 77% humidity for Copper Harbor at the moment. Not too bad for Iron Mountain, only 38% humidity for them. 73% humidity for Escanaba, so it's been a pretty hot and humid day for some locations, but at least we've seen the end of the severe weather, at least for the next couple of days. You can see the entire lower peninsula is blanketed in severe thunderstorm watches and warnings, expecting a large hail and damaging winds for them. But around here, we're just looking at a few more sprinkles into the overnight hours. But other than that, the worst is definitely over. The satellite picture showing us that we did have a few of those thicker clouds earlier today associated with that falling rain. But for the most part, not too bad. Even some locations saw a bit of sunshine today, and those temperatures warmed up quite a bit. As for the rest of the country, it was a pretty active day for yet another day, especially down towards the Gulf Coast. They just can't get rid of all of that rain, especially into portions of Texas. And you notice there's some very strong storms, especially through Louisiana, and that's front, and that precipitation is extending all the way up towards the East Coast. And around here, we're seeing a few more scattered showers, even some strong storms as we head into the lower portion of the state of Michigan. That cold front is extending well down into the Gulf with a very strong low pressure system. We've seen those storms right along that cold front throughout the day. That low finally moves out, and that cold front has pushed further or far enough into towards the East Coast that we're going to be seeing some more dry weather as we head into the next couple of days. But early Sunday and into the next week, we're looking at some more showers. So the wet weather has not come to an end, or at least for now it has, but it won't be sticking around for long. In terms of the temperatures all around the country, it was a very hot day, especially around the Great Plains, with temperatures topping out near 90, even at the moment, very hot. 86 for Des Moines, 85 for Sioux Falls, as well as Bismarck. A little closer to home, 73 for Green Bay, 84 in Chicago, 72 down in Alpena, so pretty warm all around the region. Here in Marquette, we topped out at 77, so just a couple of degrees above normal for this time of year. Into the overnight, no more rain, partly cloudy with a low down to 60. Winds will be out of the northwest at 5 to 10. And for tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high topping out at 77. Winds will be out of the northwest at 5 to 10. Looking ahead to the next couple of days, dry again on Saturday with a high of 70, and then temperatures jump 10 degrees for Sunday, along with some falling rain that will last all the way into next Wednesday.
Thanks, Monica. And I have to say those booms that we in our studio here in Marquette just heard outside and above us during Monica's forecast, fortunately are not any sort of booms of thunder. They're booms of Marquette's fireworks. Good to see that that thunder and potential rain for the early part next week isn't here just yet. Well, looking at another kind of outdoor activity now, Iraq is a particularly rough place to be a child right now. Recent studies have been finding that many Iraqi children are suffering from symptoms of post-traumatic stress, which is why anything in Iraq resembling a normal childhood might be embraced. ABC's John Hendren recently spent a day with Boy and Girl Scouts in Baghdad.
If you would like to keep your things, you can...
It is the most heavily protected children's camp in the world. Here, behind the cement barriers and tanks of Baghdad's Green Zone, American troops are helping Iraqi Boy and Girl Scouts clear a campground. The usual rules apply.
If anyone gets hurt, stop what you're doing, get the attention of one of the leaders.
Along with some unusual ones.
So if you hear sirens going, woo, woo, incoming, incoming, then you need to get out of the pool.
There have been scouts in Iraq since 1921, but after Saddam Hussein turned scouting into a paramilitary training course, the international scouting body kicked Iraq out.
They lost an entire generation because scouting was pretty much halted through Saddam's regime.
Now, with the help of American troops, they are reviving scouting in Iraq.
For many of the 150,000 Boy and Girl Scouts outside of the Green Zone in Iraq, stray gunfire, car bombs, and mortars make it too dangerous for them to gather in public at all.
Many have nowhere left to meet. The Iraqi army has taken over their camps. Even inside the barricaded Green Zone, these scouts can only gather under armed guard. But that doesn't seem to bother these teens. Yasser, Zain, and Fad told us scouting gives them a rare break.
Play football, play tennis, basketball.
Their parents usually don't let them play outside because of the war. Scouting also teaches children to ignore their differences. Who is Sunni? Who is Shia? An uncommon thing these days in Iraq. Later this summer, scouts from all backgrounds will put that creed into action, spending 4 days at their new campsite. John Hendren, ABC News, Baghdad.
And just ahead tonight, many of us paid our respects to America on her birthday yesterday, but Iron County pays its respects to the people who have kept and still keep its historic courthouse running. The details on that when the UGN Late News returns.
Tonight, Jimmy.
Welcome back. Well, a local courthouse creates a public honor for everyone who has ever worked there. The new Iron County Courthouse Memorial Park had a dedication ceremony on the front lawn outside the courthouse this morning. That Memorial Park honors current and former employees who have worked at the courthouse going all the way back to 1890 when the construction first began there. The idea for the park started with a red maple tree in front of the courthouse in memory of former Iron County prosecutor Joe Sartorelli, who died in a car accident the day after Thanksgiving last year. The courthouse is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and was the first building in Iron County to receive that distinction. Well, Big and Little Bay de Noc are getting ready to host a major walleye fishing tournament next week. That's an event on the FLW Walleye Tour, the last qualifying stop before their end-of-season championship. And that tournament is scheduled to have a full field of 150 pros and 150 amateur co-anglers who will all be vying for a total purse of just over $500,000. Registration is going to be next Tuesday at the UP State Fairgrounds in Escanaba, and the fishing itself starts on Bays de Noc next Wednesday, continuing right through Saturday the 14th. And the anglers will be taking off from Escanaba Harbor at 7 a.m. all 4 days. Fox Sports Net is going to be on hand to cover that tournament for their show FLW Outdoors, and the episode devoted to that tournament is scheduled to air in early October. Well, there are attempts going on right now to fix what can be the most agonizing part of a trip to an emergency room. That's the wait. The average patient in an ER spends 4 hours waiting because most emergency rooms are overcrowded and understaffed. But as ABC's John McKenzie reports, some hospitals are fixing that problem.
It's bad enough to get sick or injured, but even the most stoic of patients can moan, stuck in an emergency room for 5 or 6 hours. Now some hospitals are doing something about it.
Delays are avoidable, and hospitals need to be able to step up and make the changes in how we staff and the changes in our processes.
In Kansas City, St. Joseph's Medical Center is now promoting its rapid ER service.
The 30-minute emergency room guarantee means you'll be seen within 30 minutes of your arrival.
To do this, the hospital hired more doctors and nurses and streamlined lab techniques. In Houston, patients arriving at San Jacinto Methodist Hospital often bypass the waiting room and go directly to an exam room, where triage is completed and treatment started more quickly. In New York, Montefiore Medical Center, the city's busiest emergency department, now has a fast-track program 24 hours a day for minor aches and pains, so that 30% of ER patients here no longer need to see a doctor. When Santos Vargas had a sore throat and fever, this nurse practitioner collected a throat culture, ordered the lab test, and wrote a prescription.
You're in and out in what?
In and out in an hour and 5 minutes. Very impressive.
The hospital also opened around-the-clock radiology suites inside the ER for faster X-rays and CT scans. And it's installed new clinical information software. This computer program tracks the progress of each patient through the ER, minute by minute, and it's displayed on computer screens throughout the department.
We know exactly where they are. We can track how long they've been here, make sure they haven't been waiting too long for the results. Blood tests, labs, radiology, we know instantaneously if they're back.
Rose, Tanae?
Reducing ER wait times is not only good medicine, it turns out it's good business. At Montefiore, the number of money-making hospital admissions coming through the ER is up 26% in 3 years. John McKenzie, ABC News, New York.
And turning to sports, the Detroit Red Wings have just re-signed 2 of their key players, but one of the Detroit Pistons free agent targets has decided to play elsewhere. In Legion baseball action, Iron Mountain traveled to Ishpeming, and in Major League action, the Milwaukee Brewers finished their series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the Detroit Tigers crawled another game closer to the top of the American League Central Division by capturing their series with the Cleveland Indians. Evan Beach will have those highlights and more just ahead in UGN Sports.
I want to know.
As expected, the 3-game series between the top 2 teams in the AL Central Division has been a good one. The Cleveland Indians beat the Detroit Tigers 5-4 in the 11th inning on Tuesday, while the Tigers came away with a 6-4 win last night. Detroit was looking for a series-clinching win to move within 1 game of Cleveland in the Central Division. The all-star aces of both staffs, CC Sabathia for Cleveland and Justin Verlander for Detroit, squared off against each other with a chance to make their case to start the weekend classic in front of Tigers manager and AL skipper Jim Leyland. Top of the first, not a great start for Verlander as Victor Martinez takes him deep into right for the solo home run. It wasn't the greatest start for Sabathia either. Placido Polanco, not known as a home run hitter, but he smacks that over the fence and left for the solo bomb. Only his 3rd home run of the season. Bottom of the 3rd, 2-2 and 2 on for Carlos Guillen. He crushes that way deep into left center. A 3-run shot for Guillen for a 5-3 Tiger lead. Bottom of the 4th, Gary Sheffield lines one deep to left center. That's gone. A 2-run dinger, 7-2 Detroit. Bottom of the 6th, Tigers add some more runs. Maglio Ordonez lines one through left center. Polanco races around to score. Sean Casey tight ropes one down the right field line. Ordonez scores, and so does Pudge Rodriguez. And if that wasn't enough, Craig Monroe, trying to get out of his hitting slump, drops the loop RBI single to score Casey for a 12-3 Tiger lead in the 6th. Justin Verlander making a strong case to start the All-Star game. Pitched 7 innings, striking out 7. That's his last strikeout of the game to end the 7th. And in the 9th, newly acquired reliever Jose Capellan went 1-2-3 to end the game. The Tigers dominate today, winning 12-3 to take 2 of 3 in the series and move within 1 game of the Indians for the top spot in the AL Central Division. And from one great opponent to another, Detroit starts a home series with the American League leading Boston Red Sox tomorrow at 7:05. After winning the first of their 4-game series in Pittsburgh, the Milwaukee Brewers have now dropped 3 straight to the Pirates, losing today 6-3. Adam LaRoche homered twice and had 3 RBIs in the win. The Brewers open a series in Washington against the Nationals tomorrow at 7:05. While the Tigers and Brewers were on the Major League fields today, the Iron Mountain Golds traveled to Ishpeming to take on the Blue Storm for some Legion baseball tonight. It was a nice day for the two teams to be on the diamond. Mike Van Gassy is up to the plate. He hits a single to Derek Burke, who looks to get the double play, but the second baseman misses the play on the ball, allowing Jake Truitt to get to third. Truitt would later score. Cameron Reith up to bat, singles into the outfield, allowing Van Gassy to score. Ishpeming Blue Storm coming back with a single by Eli Wolf. We will have more on Wolf in just a moment. Next up at the plate is Derek Burke, who takes the pitch and sends it way deep out of the park for a 2-run home run, scoring Wolf. And after a few more runs, Wolf is back up to the plate. He doubles, scoring another run, and that's all the Blue Storm would need, as they would go on to mercy the Gold by a final score of 17-5. NHL free agency has not been kind to the Detroit Red Wings thus far. Although they did sign New Jersey defenseman Brian Rafalski, the Wings have lost Todd Bertuzzi, Robert Lang, and Kyle Calder all in the first week of free agency. However, today was a different story for the Wings. Forward Yuri Hudler agreed to return to Detroit, signing a 2-year deal. The 23-year-old Hudler, who provides much-needed depth up front, scored 15 goals last season with 25 points in 76 games with the Wings. Meanwhile, the team also signed goaltender Dominic Hasek to a 1-year contract. Hasek statistically was one of the best goalies in the league last season with a 38-11-6 record, a 2.05 goals against average with a .913 save percentage, and 8 shutouts. He was 10-8 in the playoffs with a 1.79 goals against average and a .923 save percentage with 2 shutouts. Terms of the contract were not immediately released, although it is expected Hasek will earn a base salary of over $2 million with bonuses. The relatively cheap price should allow the Wings to find more help through free agency. And the Detroit Pistons are still working on re-signing all-star free agent point guard Chauncey Billups, and although they seem to have the structure of a deal in place, terms have still not yet been reached. Meanwhile, the man they had hoped to sign to back up Tayshaun Prince at small forward has signed elsewhere. Former Piston and Orlando Magic forward Grant Hill has agreed to a 2-year contract with the Phoenix Suns. Hill agreed to take the Suns' biannual exception at $1.8 million this season and almost $2 million the next. With Hill off the market, the Pistons may turn their attention to former Michigan State star and current Toronto Raptor free agent Morris Peterson. And lastly tonight, the Detroit Tigers' attempt for a 6th All-Star failed today as Boston Red Sox pitcher Hideki Okajima beat out Tigers pitcher Jeremy Bonnerman and 3 others in the final fan vote for the 32nd spot on the All-Star team. Adding Okajima makes a leading 6 All-Stars for the American League leading Red Sox. And that wraps up the sports for tonight. We will be back after the break to wrap up the news.
The original home renovation hit that moved America into a home remodeling boom now helps you do your home up right.
You're talking about our greatest hits.
Get an understanding of how the whole process works. Catch This Old House Classics.
Finally tonight, new research may be about to blow up stereotypes of the strong, silent man and the natty woman the chatty woman who nags him. A University of Arizona study that came out today finds that men talk just as much as women on average, to the tune of about 16,000 words a day. Using digital voice recorders over an 8-year period, the researchers studied how many words hundreds of American and Mexican college students spoke over several days, having those voice recorders with them for every waking moment. The study found that women spoke just over 16,000 words a day on average, while men spoke just over 15,500. Although women do speak slightly more words than men, according to that survey, it's an insignificant difference, or so says the study's lead author. He writes that men and women are very different when it comes to their brain process. It's because there are many different hormones floating around in men and women, and that despite those differences, the amount that men and women communicate is the same. Well, that's all the time we have tonight for the UGN Late News. Thanks for joining us. Nightline is next with Jimmy Kimmel Live after that. From all of us here at UGN News, have a good night.
WBUP Ishpeming.